Hey, we're here at the Bertelsmann Foundation in Washington, D.C., and we're asking folks in our office and around town for their thoughts on the U.S., Europe, and the transatlantic relationship. And our next question is, how can transatlantic relations become more inclusive?
Well, in order to really fold people of color in both in the United States and in European countries, there has to be intentional actions rather than just professed goodwill.
It's critical. I mean, if people become disengaged or if they become anti-system, we see negative results.
Talk is cheap. You actually have to do things. You have to have policies.
I think in America we do ourselves a disservice by viewing sort of this mantra of trying to be that melting pot. I'd rather see us as a mosaic.
There's this feeling that there's Brussels and there's Washington. But it's important to understand that the transatlantic relationship is so much more than just Brussels and Washington.
For the people that are the organizations that are working in transatlantic relations to go out of their way to get out of the bubbles that they're in, the Brussels, the Berlin, the DC bubbles.
What does Poland think of this? Or what does Texas think of this?
Go out and talk to people that live in rural parts of the United States or in Europe.
It's important that both, like in the United States, that both parties engage groups that they would otherwise see marginal. And I guess it would probably be people of color for the Republicans, as well as the LGBTQ community, as well as with the Democrats. It's the white suburban white working class.
The boundaries are breaking down, and I don't think that it'll be many more years before everyone feels like they have a place at the table. I do think it's like a very personalized choice for what you think that you can do and what you can be involved in. But I think that the system itself is becoming a bit more liberating.
I mean, the issues that we see in Europe are manifold. I guess the whole issue about assimilation and the Islamophobia are real issues, and they always come up, and they churn my stomach at times.
And decolonization means a much more diverse Europe.
The way I think about it is that when you look at the demographics on both sides of the Atlantic, whether you're looking in Europe, you're looking in the United States, it's changing. So the people that are going to be making the decisions going forward don't look at all like the people who made the decisions of the past.
So we're no longer talking about, Latino or Hispanics or any other community really just being the minority that's marginalized. They will become the majority. And I think it's very important that we stop suppressing their voices and really include them in the decision making at the very highest level.
That's a big question, because for me personally, I don't always have the time to dive deep into global issues just because of the issues that are right here in our backyard. So in the US, like right in the backyard of the house of the president, the White House, there's so much homelessness, you know what I'm saying? How do we begin to address issues of marginalization on a global scale when we can't even really get it under control in the greatest nation in the world, you know?
I'm not even sure if the transatlantic relationship is the relationship that matters most. I wonder if we can bring in other partners that share transatlantic values, whatever that means, right? Democracy, rule of law, respect for human rights. I think the more the merrier.
The key to that is creating and fostering an inclusive global community where different views are heard, and not all views have to be respected, but at least understood.
There's no way that we can be stable and secure without caring about what happens in other parts of the world.
We need to bring in entities like the African Union. Are we having a conversation from an American perspective, from a European Union perspective?
You know, what's the role of the Latin American region in the transatlantic relationship? And we haven't really had one.
Of course, engaging democratic countries in East Asia, in the Oceania, as well as in the developing world.
There's a lot of innovation that we see from lower income countries and developing countries that could help solve some of the problems that we see in the wealthy countries as a part of this alliance.
We have to find where we agree and talk about it and advance those interests. be it free trade, be it human rights, or be it inclusive governance.
So if we're embracing and honoring other people's cultures, then that type of energy will be reciprocated to our own culture, and ultimately that's what we want.